Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and what if I told you one of the largest antiviruses in the world just got banned from you Americans buying it in your country? Ladies and gentlemen, to rip the band-aid off, this is an actual Bureau of Industry and Security posting. Kaspersky Lab prohibition. Now, you might be like, whoa, what is Kaspersky Lab, Muta? Well, this is Kaspersky. This is one of the oldest antivirus companies out there, one of the oldest computer security companies. And yeah, they sell antivirus software, or at least they used to sell it in the States at least. Now, you can buy the standard version, Plus, and Premium, but we'll get into it in just a little bit. To give you an idea, reading into this situation has been absolutely baffling. Because, you know, last time we talked about actual software being banned, it was something like TikTok, right? Like when the TikTok ban happened, one of the things that I said is I am never a fan of anything getting banned in a country or a part of the world that is supposed to be free, right? Because if this happens in the United States, there's a chance it can easily happen in Canada and a lot of places. And as somebody that absolutely believes in freedoms and the ability to make your own choices when it comes to computer software or really anything, you should be allowed to install whatever it is that you want, okay? So looking into this right here, they said to protect our nation, the Department of Commerce has issued a final determination prohibiting Kaspersky and its affiliates, subsidiaries, and parent companies from engaging in transactions involving the provision of certain cybersecurity and antivirus products and services to U.S. persons. In accordance with this final determination, any resale of their antivirus software integration or licensing for the purpose of resale or integration into other products is prohibited in the United States or by U.S. persons. Kaspersky's products and services pose an unacceptable risk to United States national security and the security and safety of U.S. persons, and an undue risk of subversion of or sabotage to the integrity and operation of information and communications in the United States. In particular, there is a significant risk of harm to the integrity and operation of the ICTS and ICTS supply chain in the U.S. So this might sound like flashy words, and the whole red strip of actual stuff they used is obviously designed to hammer it in that you shouldn't be using this organization's software. Now, Kaspersky is a Russian multinational cybersecurity company. And you might be like, whoa, I get it now. It's a Russian software. Obviously, Americans aren't taking too kindly to it. Now, the thing about it is you know, when you're talking about, you know, this company, we've used some of their findings, and I have actually used some of their software when it comes to analyzing things for virus investigations. In fact, if anything, they're a pretty massive company. It's just that they're headquartered in Russia, and given recent political situations, I really feel like that is the actual tipping point for what is banning one of the largest antivirus providers out there. Now, of course, it doesn't mean you can't buy other antiviruses, right? There's plenty of other options. Like McAfee, God rest his soul, you can buy award-winning antivirus software for 44 buckaroos a month. Which, by the way, can I just start off by saying this is always disgusting to me. I get that it's introductory pricing for new customers, but there's no way $120, you're just axing off over half of the price, even for new people to jump in. So of course, if you look at it, tons of these softwares provide like all these extra features. It's not just virus scanning like the good old days, okay? They're giving you shit like ransomware coverages, or straight up insurance, lost wallet support, social privacy manager, and personal data cleanup, where if your information is being sold by data brokers, they jump in for you to prevent that kind of shit. So if you go to Kaspersky, right, they're actually selling you these options where it's like, hey boys, every single package we have, 61% off. You know, after 4 or 5 years of looking into this stuff for cybersecurity videos, what's insane about it is they always fucking have a sale. They're always 60% off. But that being said, these are first-year prices. I'm not here to talk about prices for antivirus software. What I will say for the record is, as I've discussed before, I don't use any antivirus software. I think buying this kind of stuff is honestly a redundancy. If you need to check any file, usually, I think things like VirusTotal are great, where you can just drop any file that you find a little sus and just effectively see through all of the actual possible antivirus engines if a file is clean or not, or if there's a whole bunch of false positives. Buying an antivirus in 2024 is like paying a company to install effectively a big-ass rootkit on your system and you actually trusting that company. So one of the reasons why this has been banned is not just because it is Russian multinational software, okay? Most government agencies, most critical infrastructure doesn't have foreign software installed in general in regard to something this deep and invasive. When you install an antivirus software onto your system, it is given some of the most invasive permissions possible because its entire job, like anti-cheat, is to detect some of the most invasive, scary viruses that hit your system. And each antivirus kind of, is good and bad. There's no perfect solution. But generally, Kaspersky, from my understanding and my usage, has always been a relatively decent software. Now, if you go to the paid antivirus software, then you're pretty much fucked. You might have heard not a while back, this was literally February of this year, Avast Antivirus was actually fined $16.5 million for privacy software that actually sold your browsing data. You might be like, whoa, isn't it the exact opposite? Well, I have the court case right here for Avast Right from the FTC, where they said in the violation of the FTC Act, unfair collection, retention, and sale of consumers' browsing information. So as I described in paragraph 710.813 through the Avast software, respondents collected consumers' browsing info, stored that info in granular form indefinitely, and then sold that information in granular form to third parties without adequate notice and without consumer consent. These practices are likely to cause substantial injury to consumers that is not outweighed by countervailing benefits to consumers or competition, and is not reasonably avoidable by consumers themselves. So yeah, imagine being sold like privacy tools and then you find out, oh shit, the company allegedly just sold your stuff anyways. Like imagine them putting advertising like this up there on their page and saying, anti-tracking protects your privacy by preventing websites, ad companies, and other services from tracking your activity, and then allegedly just selling it off en masse to someone else. Really scummy behavior. When you look at the description for their mobile software and they're like, hold on, pal, you can protect yourself against viruses and pop-ups. Get alerted when you install spyware and adware. As they're the fucking spyware. Usually when you install anything free, you're the product, okay? And in this situation, it seems you were the product. Allegedly, of course. This is an FTC complaint after all. Now, even beyond all of this, when you're paying for Kaspersky, the whole point is you're installing invasive software on your system. So one of the scary parts about this is with any antivirus software, there's a chance that if it detects anything that it finds suspicious, it may upload files from your computer to its cloud server for analysis. Now, the thing about uploading your files to somebody else's hard drive is you have no actual idea if that file is going to get deleted. Even if they write in an entire privacy policy that, yeah, we'll delete your file after so on and so forth, who's to say you can trust them? It's one of the reasons why I don't use cloud service providers. I actually have my own personal cloud server in my basement where I upload and just keep my files stored. If anybody needs to get something from me, I upload it to a server in my basement, they download it through my internet connection. It is that simple. So again, going to this whole situation right here, one of the things that I was looking into was a story of how the NSA actually had some of its hacking tools possibly stolen by Kaspersky. So according to the Wall Street Journal Pro, this is way back in 2017, it was alleged that Russian hackers actually stole the NSA's entire data and procedure on cyber defense for the United States. Now, while this is hidden behind a paywall, just researching a little bit more will probably take you to an entire situation where what had happened was they described how the NSA is this group in the United States that, attacks foreign networks. I mean, that is what it is. They're effectively the United States' biggest keyboard warriors next to the FBI's, cybercoms unit. So inside this situation, what had actually happened was a contractor was apparently using Kaspersky software on their system. And what had happened was the guy took his work home, which already violated the NSA's rules, by the way, and hackers used the Kaspersky software to grab files from a system. So it was kind of alleged that, they were running they had NSA malware stored on their system. So when Kaspersky's, antivirus tool was scanning the system and it found that specific piece of software had some pretty nasty heuristics, meaning characteristics of malware, it uploaded that to a cloud server belonging to Kaspersky. And apparently Russian hackers, or maybe the state, grabbed that information from Kaspersky and basically grabbed the NSA's scary toolkit. Now, obviously, if that is true, which there is no real fucking confirmation, you pretty much have to take the US government at their word for it, that is scary, okay? That's literally millions, maybe billions of dollars of actual defense research that has basically been yoinked by a foreign country, and the US government can't do shit about it. Now, like I said, most big organizations, most critical organizations won't ever install software from a foreign country. You're never gonna find Chinese antivirus software, Indian antivirus software, Iranian antivirus software, Russian antivirus software in like the United States government, okay? It's just never gonna happen. Maybe in certain cases, like this allegedly, it could happen, but it's in one of those scenarios where, like, obviously, I think the government, this would make sense if they banned this or just made an outline ban for the government. That would make a lot of sense, but honestly, that kind of stuff has already happened anyways. I think it's wild that now, in order to protect the average person, they've actually banned all of the civilians from buying Kaspersky stuff. Now, on the surface, I think it's a little hypocritical that one of the biggest governments in the world that has entire tech companies like Facebook, for instance, literally spy on users. Google, for instance, spy on users. Some of the most tracking that exists on the internet, period, comes from American companies. And they're the ones, at least from the president's perspective, putting on the big show of, hey, we're going to protect you guys. Nobody is allowed to spy on you unless it's us. That's really what it all kind of comes down to. It's all what it boils up to. Now, obviously, this didn't start with even Biden. This started, again, all the way back even with Trump, for instance, when he signed the National Defense Authorization Act, which actually put a ban on this software for federal civilian and especially those military systems. So this is more so centered around people who are obviously the average civilian. Now, you might be like, well, does this mean that computers are a little less safe in the country? No, I don't think you losing one antivirus vendor means a lot. But what I do find scary is how the government can basically decide what software is effectively allowed in and out of the country through the financial channels it has. It is actually a loss of freedom for you not to install whatever you want on your system. And I think it really is a sign of what the next 5-10 years is going to look like. I think when it comes to social media services and programs like this, the government is basically going to have like this America First model, and most countries in the world, I think, are going to do this. Now, I don't really have an issue personally in one way when the United States does this, because a lot of other countries do the same thing back to us, right? Like, for instance, in China, you can't even access a lot of their computers either, right? And Russia, despite being one of the most, I guess, slightly more democratic than they used to, back during the Cold War, I would still say that the, tinge of tyranny is still pretty strong out there too. At least in the Western world, we have something known as the rule of law, and I guess that veneer is kept up far better than the other big superpowers in the world. What is ultimately really scary to me, though, is the amount of control that the government is taking and basically telling you what you can and cannot do with your systems. So yeah, one of the largest antivirus vendors got banned, but ultimately, at the end of the day, to sort of divert to another, big overarching topic that I have, I don't understand why somebody in this modern day and age still needs to buy antivirus software like this. I would wager you probably shouldn't be wasting any of your money on rootkit antivirus stuff like this that runs so invasively, especially if you're a Windows user, and Windows Defender alone is probably far better than anything else on average here. When we do virus investigation videos, you know how annoying Windows Defender is at protecting our computers from actually investigating malware? You turn off the real-time protection just for a minute, it flips right the fuck back on. It does not care. So in general, I really don't think anybody should be paying for these things or really going out of their way to download antivirus software, especially when you do have to put in a lot of trust to Kaspersky or really any organization when you install this level of software on your system. The best actual safe tip that I can give you is Windows Defender plus this amazing, amazing kit called Common Sense. And you know what? Maybe ad block, especially if you get something like uBlock Origins running. The internet can be a dangerous place full of ads and scams, and at least if you can get rid of them, I think 90% of people getting hacked would probably be cured if they just ran a simple ad blocker or something. Maybe network-wide ad blocking, maybe a Chrome extension or something that just prevents you from clicking a shady link in the first place. But a full-blown antivirus software, that's a whole thing of the past. And honestly, it might never come back. The US government's cracking down, and they're telling you if you want to spy on them, you better be an American company we can hit up anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mutahar, and I am out.